Good morning, everyone. I'm Pierre Jablon. I'm a GIS analyst at Glasgow City Council. I'll start with an assumption here. Most of us, GIS professionals, especially those like me who work in local government, Scottish government, or public organization, by default, we show our data in 2D. We create everyday wonderful maps and apps and great visualization, but they are in 2D because that's just what's easier. But what if we could challenge that assumption and switch to a default to 3D to bring so much more context and insight to the people who are visualizing our data? This is really the journey that we're going towards in 3D planning for Glasgow. We started 15 years ago from a underused, clunky, really not fit for purpose model to a 3D model that is an integral part of our GIS estate. And last year, we saw a tremendous explosion in uses and cases and applications for 3D data. So our journey started 15 years ago with the first iteration of the model, which covered only a relatively small part of the city, and mostly the city center and the riverbanks. And there were regular updates to that model until 2018. But it was hosted in a third-party application. There were licensing issues. It was not integrated with the rest of our GIS estate. So it was really not fit for purpose. In 2018, our colleague Maria worked tirelessly to migrate that model to ArcGIS Online to finally be able to integrate it with the rest of our GIS database. Last year was really amazing for us. First of all, the Scottish government acquired new LiDAR data across the city. Then we decided to really change the way we're operating by making the model available on our Open Data Hub. And we also created a 3D working group with Victoria State Government in Australia. And it's an organization that's really at the forefront of what can be done in 3D with Esri products. And this year, we started a new collaboration with the Urban Big Data Center at Glasgow University in order to create a building and a tree canopy layer from LiDAR data, which is something that our services have been clamoring for. So the data is available on the Scottish Remote Sensing portal. You can download a DSM and a DTM at 4 points per meter. We got access to 25 ppm, but I encourage you to check if it is also available in your area. We also have, as I said, a wonderful open data hub. Please check it out, data.glasgow.gov.uk. The digital strategy of Glasgow City Council says that our data should be open by default. So that's also why we created this collaboration with the UBDC in order to create a methodology that can be replicated with any type of LiDAR data to be able to create models that are completely open and you can share with everyone. As I say, we went from a clunky model that didn't cover the city to something that's really lightweight, that you can implement, that you can add very quickly to a web scene. Everything is online. There is no install required. It covers all of the city. What you're seeing right now is an LOD2 version of it, so a level of detail 2. As you know, like Glasgow is always sunny. For the very, very rare occurrence when there might be snow and rain and fog, well, we can also show that. We also have a wonderful photorealistic model. The quality of the model is absolutely amazing. It's a bit heavier, so we tend to use it for more local street planning, and it also covers a smaller area of the city. But again, that layer is absolutely available on our Open Data Hub, and obviously we plan to expand the capability of that. We are also, for example, working with the Glasgow film office and trying to bring more of the filming industry into the city. And that's a really wonderful tool for them to try to gather some good sites. If you just bring the 3D data into a web scene, basically a lot of the tools are available in 2D are also available in 3D. And for example, a simple measurement tool like that, that's something that we used to do or we have to do in ArcGIS Pro before. And ArcGIS Pro can sometimes be a bit intimidating for people that don't use GIS every day. So creating something like that that's very easy, click of a button, that's something that it's a real asset for our organization. We also have also working with underground data. So we acquired underground data from a survey, and you can see exactly what type of utilities are located where with all of the data associated with it. You know that this is a BT line, you know the depth, etc. What you're seeing here is a really good example of something that we used to show in 2D. This is just a joint data set of the build form, meaning whether it's tenements or villas, and you get the year of construction, and we just join that data with our 3D model. And suddenly it gives so much more context. It's a wonderful view to see it. You can see the extent, you can see the height of those buildings, and everything is much clearer than on an a typical 2D app. We are also integrating a model with some Revit file. So this is the Exchange House. This is our office on George Street. And you can select a floor of that building. You can select a particular element of it, whether it's the furniture, the floor, the doors, etc. All of the data is there. You can click on any element of it. You know the type of desk. And this is wonderful for accessibility routes, planning within a building, emergency exits. If you are trying to find like new hybrid work solution and you want to limit the number of people working in a particular area, then that's just a wonderful tool. And again, we can just add any layer. We can add the rest of the 3D model, clip it a bit around, and so suddenly you have so much more context. I mentioned earlier that we have that 3D collaboration group with Victoria State Government, and one of the first things that they showed us was an online app where you could edit online and comment, etc. And we were absolutely amazed with what they've done. But they went through the developer route, and this is just not a resource that we have in Glasgow City Council. So we thought, well, it's really nice, it's a bit unattainable. But Esri technology is constantly advancing, and now I just very quickly created an experience builder app. So I added a 3D model, I added 3D editable data, and I added just a little edit widget. You can set up your symbology ahead. You can set up the height, the elevation, the orientation of your 3D features very, very easily. And this can be done, again, without any installation, all online, all lightweight. Then you add the survey 123 to the same platform. So then you click on whatever you've been created. It pre-populates the name of the building. You can rate the building. You can add a comment. You can add your name, and everyone can see it. And obviously, you want people to be able to see it. So just as, again, a very simple table widget. I'm sure there are nicer ways to do it, but this is out of the box tool, no coding whatsoever. And we're really happy to be able to show a platform and an app like that to our planning services. And it's something, again, that they asked us, and previously you could only do it through Pro, and it was more complicated to use. Now it's all one single URL online. And now I'll just let my colleague Holly show you a few more of the applications of our 3D model. Thank you.
Thank you, Pierre, for doing the first part of the presentation. Hello, everyone. The second part of the presentation will take you through the journey towards an environmental twin model. So firstly, we need to examine why we should create an environmental twin model. So let's break this down. Glasgow City Council has a variety of different strategies, and many of these strategies interlink with one another through our different projects. In order to create action, data is required. However, data is forever changing, and so are global events. In 2019, we declared an ecological and climate emergency. In 2020, we faced a global pandemic. In 2022, geopolitical issues, changes within our UK government, and now we are facing an energy and food crisis. 2023 is an unknown variable. Anything could happen, and we must be prepared for the unknown. In 2030, Glasgow, like many other cities around the world, plan to be net zero. So a platform is required, a platform that has multiple data sets with different disciplines, which can have interactions between the different strategies. We need an automated system, but we also need something that's visually and interactive and can easily absorb information. We now live in a society where we constantly flick through vast quantities of visual content on our mobile devices. But sometimes we take less and less time to read important content. The 3D model has a vast amount of data that is visually and captivating to our acquired audience. We should be using the environmental twin model for planning and mitigation and adaptation of potential environmental risk and climate events. It can also be used as an educational platform. So I'm now going to take you through two examples. Duke Street solar analysis is our first example, and our second one is South Portland Street future planning. Duke Street was a multi-storey car park that was a part of the ruggedized Horizon 2020 project. There is plans to put solar panels on the top of the roof car park, and this will help charge electric cars on the bottom floor. Strathclyde collected the data for the solar analysis. However, our team, which is made up of Pierre, Maria, and myself, wanted to collect our own data using the Esri ArcGIS Pro solar analysis tools. In order to create solar analysis raster, certain requirements were needed. Duration over a year, say 2022. Day intervals, 14-day intervals. Hour intervals, 1-hour intervals to create the raster. Each raster cell has a kilowatt value. Orange cells indicate a higher kilowatt value. Yellow to blue indicate lower kilowatt values. The model also shows where potentially solar panels could be placed. This is a fantastic platform for planners to show what the finished project could look like. So the next phase, we need to compare our solar analysis data with Strathclyde University data. We need to implement our latest model, which will show a variety of different rooftops. Looking at the different rooftops and comparing to what will be suitable for solar PV and the type of solar PV panels. We'll also be including our tree canopy layer. We need to figure out the surrounding shadowing caused by buildings and trees and see how that will affect our solar panels. And I'm putting this out there. I'm hoping that the Scottish Government will expand upon their community and renewable energy schemes by producing loans and grants to help households and businesses be able to move towards a net zero. We, using Esri tools, can build an app or a web app that can show households and businesses what roofs are suitable for solar panels, what type of solar panels, and the funding options. And again, this will help us transition to a net zero Glasgow. I'm now going to move on to South Portland Street. So, Esri has a variety of different platforms which can enhance future planning, moving away from the flat 2D design and transitioning towards a 3D platform. Our Avenues team, part of the City Deals, is developing South Portland Street at the moment. This example is an exaggerated example showing electric buses, cycle lanes, pedestrian sidewalks, and green spaces. We're using a web scene, and we can create a 3D interactive solutions. This scene is using our photorealistic layer, and then we can use a mixture of lines, polygons, and points to create a feature layer for the new planning features. The point category has a variety of options, such as vegetation, road markings, and transportation. However, it didn't have people, so we had to upload our own people into the scene. And that is quite an easy thing to do. So you can add things like CAD files, for example. We can take it one step further, and then we could import it into a 360 VR experience on a tablet or in a headset. We could also add these scenes to a story map. Story maps could act as a project proposal, for example. We could add additional content like questionnaires and get public engagement all in this one type of software. Story maps and web scenes could provide a more modern way to write and develop our strategies. But most importantly, this web scene is very user-friendly, and you don't need to have a background in planning to create something. My background was in forestry. I never created anything in a city dynamic. So the next phase for future planning. We need to expand upon our environmental twin model, developing the tree canopy with our urban big data centre latest LiDAR scan. It's important because we need to tie this into our urban strategy, our open spaces, but also expand upon our biodiversity and flood mitigation. Our team will also be expanding upon developing a flood analysis model using Esri tools. This will help with future planning and mitigation for extreme precipitation, such as rainfall caused by climate changes. And lastly, we need to look at vacant and derelict land for solar PV farms. If we increase the energy within our cities, green energy, we reduce the demand for foreign oil, potentially improving our economy and once again meeting these important net zero goals. The environmental twin model has the potential to provide day-to-day information. The model can expand upon the whole of Glasgow or our individual wards. A 3D model has the potential to provide planning and design for the city and show the visualization of data. Today is my first ever Esri conference, and I'm very excited to see everyone's presentations. I want to thank everyone here today and Pierre for doing the first part of the presentation. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you.